The second part of topic 4 looks at the footprint created by non-food plants used by humans. Obviously, plants are not only used for human nutrition, they have other uses, including forage or feed for animals that we eat and utilize. Also, various fibers for clothing and textiles, illustrated in this slide. Building materials, paper, cardboard, biofuels, oils for cooking, manufactured goods such as soap, detergent, plastics, and pharmaceuticals. Many of these manufactured goods are now made from petroleum, but that too has environmental issues, thereby forcing a reversal of this back to plant-based products. But this too would take land away from food production. So let's have a look at what other plant products are produced and their effect on the human footprint. Animals are a source of human nutrition, but they too require plants to meet their own nutritional needs and, in a sense, compete for cropland with humans. Forages are crops grown for stems and leaves for animal feed. Hay, pastures, and silage are forages that are similar to food crops in that they are harvested and require similar inputs, leaving a similar footprint to food crops. Feed grains are the grains fed to animals, and these might be maize, soybeans, wheat, oats, barley, and rice. Now, the land and energy used to provide forages and feed creates a large ecological footprint. So what are some of the solutions? One way to reduce the competition is to have animals graze on land that is unsuitable for crop production, such as steep topography or porous soils. This would require management of the fields to prevent conversion to unproductive scrub or desert from overgrazing. But this can result in a reduced footprint. Wastes generated by the food production system contribute to the human footprint. We could reduce the footprint by feeding wastes to animals. European countries are increasingly seeing the advantage of maintaining countryside for grazing that is ecologically diverse and also attractive for visitors. Perhaps this could apply to some coastal regions in Australia, as illustrated. Another factor to consider with animal feed is that although most animals digest food at about the same efficiency as humans, ruminants, for example cattle, goats, and sheep, can extract energy from plant materials that are indigestible for us, specifically cellulose. So if they are fed on forage crops, the energy recovery can be as high as 50% compared to if the land was used to grow crops for human consumption. An interesting concept is now the utilization of banana plant waste for manufacturing packaging, thereby reducing the human footprint in the banana industry. Historically, farmland provided many useful products in addition to food. So much of our clothing and textiles were made from plants. Plants are also used for animals which provide fiber, such as wool, and skins, which are used in shoes. Only about 2.5% of cropland is devoted to fiber crops worldwide. Cotton is the most important and best known of these. Jute is probably the next most important, and this is grown in tropical countries such as Bangladesh and is used for producing coarse string and fabrics such as burlap. Other fiber crops include flax and bamboo, both of which are used for producing fabrics. Hemp is used for fabric, rope, and other products. Sisal has historically been an important fiber crop, being used for twine and rope, but its use is declining, being replaced by petrochemical substitutes such as polypropylene. Coconut coir is a byproduct of the coconut industry, and thereby that reduces the coconut footprint. Lesser uses of crop plants for fiber include flax, banana, and sugarcane. However, the market for natural fibers is stagnant or declining because it's cheaper to utilize petrochemical-based alternatives. Cotton, however, is likely to remain a major crop. It's unlikely that production and area of fiber crops will increase in the near future. Of these, hemp is the most likely to leave the smallest footprint and most likely to see an increase in demand. Agriculture makes some contribution to structural materials used for buildings. Straw was and still is used as a roofing material, thatch, and is combined with clay to make bricks, particularly in developing countries. Straw is used for bedding for animals. Palm leaves are used for thatching in Australia, for example, as illustrated. Forestry, however, has been a much more important source of timber construction materials and fuel. Forestry and farming compete in providing paper and cardboard. Cheaper products are usually made from wood pulp, whereas higher grades are made from herbaceous plant fibers such as cotton and hemp. Talking of which, this is a fiber crop that shows promise of increase in production. Cannabis sativa. It has growth potential for fiber for clothing. Hemp has a deep root system which can aid in reconditioning a compacted soil. Unfortunately, hemp grown for fiber is the same species as marijuana, and marijuana plants produce the drug tetrahydrocannabinol, or THC. As a result, the production of hemp for fiber is illegal in many areas of the world, or it's grown under strictly controlled conditions, such as in Australia. Although closely related, the two types of cannabis are very different in morphological characteristics. Fiber hemp, or industrial hemp, as it is sometimes known, has long, unbranched and sturdy stems required for fiber production, and its leaves are relatively small with low THC content. In contrast, the marijuana type plant is more branched with larger leaves that have high THC levels. So morphological identification of one plant from the other is not difficult. Because the hemp plant has an environmental benefit as a field crop, and because the fiber from the hemp produces an excellent clothing fabric, many countries, such as Canada and Australia, are allowing it to be grown, although under strict government control. Biofuels can be manufactured from various sources, including animal fats and plants. Processing of oils, starches, and sugars from plants to produce biodiesel and ethanol is used mainly in internal combustion engines. Oil from soybeans, sunflower, and canola is extracted and processed into biodiesel fuel. Starches and sugars from maize, sugarcane, and some other plants such as switchgrass in Canada and the United States are fermented to produce ethanol. The advantage of these over fossil fuels is that they are renewable and they sequester carbon dioxide during their growth cycle, thereby reducing the carbon footprint. Also, the oilseed meal from crops processed for biodiesel and the fermentation residue from ethanol production can be used as animal feed. However, these crops occupy land that could be used for food crops. Energy is required to produce the fuel, so the net gain in fuel energy may be as low as 50%. An alternative is using algal-based fuels grown on unproductive land areas, which may reduce unwanted consequences of terrestrial grown biofuels. However, algal systems do have consequences of their own. Apart from fiber and biofuel, the major non-food use of crops is for oil-based industrial products. Tropical oil crops such as coconuts and oil palm are the main sources of plant oils used in soaps and detergents. Temperate oil crops such as canola and soybean are used in the manufacture of lubricants and plastics. Concerns about the future availability of petroleum and the pollution produced by the petrochemical industry have led to suggestions that we should return to using plants as raw products for detergents, plastics, pharmaceuticals, and other industrial chemicals. However, for this approach to be economically feasible, the chemical must be sufficiently valuable and the market must be large enough to recover development and production costs. For plants to replace petrochemicals, much development is required and a major commitment of cropland would be necessary. This is currently not feasible, not until the petrochemical resources diminish significantly. Plants are the source of many drugs and medicines. In fact, until the 20th century, most medicines were derived directly from plants. Today, about 25% of pharmaceuticals are based on plant products, and the rest are produced synthetically. From the earliest history of modern humans, the shaman, wise elders, and witch doctors of tribes used various plant products to treat ailments, disease, or disorders amongst tribal members. Much of this wealth of plant lore is in danger of being lost as indigenous cultures are absorbed into modern civilizations. So, ethnobotany, the study of plant usage by indigenous cultures, and the preservation of that knowledge has now become an important branch of plant science. Some examples of medicines from plants include aspirin or salicylic acid, which is derived from the bark of the salix willow tree and is used to treat pain. Quinine, which is used to treat malaria, is derived from the bark of the cinchona tree, which is illustrated on the slide. Digitalis is a heart medication extracted from the plant Digitalis purpurea. Morphine, opium, codeine, and heroin are all pain-relieving extracts from the opium poppy. Cocaine, another painkiller, is derived from the coca plant. However, many of these are addictive. Yew, that produces paclitaxel, known as commercially as Taxol, is a chemical which shows promise in the treatment of cancer. We've already talked about cannabis. There's a type of cannabis from which non-hallucinogenic THC can be derived, believed to have therapeutic benefits for chronic pain, seizures, and nausea. And of course, there are many other medicinal plants. So this presentation has been developed from the template provided by the publishers of the prescribed textbook by building on, adding to, and contextualizing it for Australian horticulture.